Hello, everybody. Welcome to MightyOxTrading. Today, we're going to talk about Bulenox, the number 5 ranked firm on my top 10 list. I do want to apologize that we had such a long break between the last video I did for this series and now. I actually had this video ready to go. It was uploaded. It was going to go out the next day. And then Bulenox made changes. It's like they knew. And I had to scrap the whole video, redo it. And I've had some, personal issues going on in my life that made it difficult to get done. But we're back. We'll try to get this series back on the move. So before we get started, I would like to ask you if you find this content informational or educational or enjoyable, you would gore that like button for me. Subscribe. Click that little bell icon if you want to be notified when I put out new videos or when we go live with our live streams. So let's get started. Bulenox ranked number 5 on my top 10 list that I put out a couple months ago. Let's go into the reasons of why. First, let's go to our fact sheet on Bulenox. They have data feeds. They have Rhythmic and Project X. They offer intraday and end-of-day drawdowns for the same base price. They usually have different sales on each one. They do not have a direct to funded, straight to funded available. They have 5 different account sizes, but you should only consider 2, and we'll go into that later. They have recently added their path to live, and that's why I ended up having to trash the whole video, because that's what they announced on the day before the video was supposed to come out. They allow 11 funded accounts. Their payout percentage is 90-10. And yes, they do allow news trading. So let's get into why they were ranked number 5. First of all, let's talk about the positives. 3+ years of stability. We've seen a lot of new firms over the last year or so. Bulenox has been around over 3 years, and we haven't heard, much. Every now and then there's a bump, just like any business. But they've been stable and reliable now for over 3 years. They're one of the go-tos. Now, I guess, in this industry, 3 years is almost like an OG. They price match most sales as long as they consider the competitor worthy. So the competitor has, in other words, if a prop firm just pops up tomorrow and does 99% off, they're not going to price match that. But they price match enough that every month there's a 90% sale on their intraday accounts. I don't think they've gone a month without. They price match Apex, they price match Lilu, they price match ETF. I don't remember if they price match for DS or not, but there's almost always a good sale going that they'll price match. They actually don't run any sales of their own. It's interesting. They just price match everybody else. And that works out well because all these other companies do the big 90% sales. And Bulenox usually adds a percent. So if someone does a 90% sale, Bulenox will do 91%. Next up, 11 accounts allowed. In the world of prop firms, we've seen the amount of accounts being reduced. And again, if you're a struggling trader, you shouldn't even be thinking about 11 accounts. You should be working on proving you can handle one, get payouts from one, and then increase accounts once you've done that and on repeat, taking a couple of payouts shown, and then slowly build up. But for those of you that are successful and can handle copy trading, or even not copy trading, but handle multiple accounts, then having more accounts available to you is a big advantage. And 11 accounts is now second or third highest, depending on how you want to consider. For DS is 5 per account type. But overall, second highest to Apex. Few payout denials. Now, every now and then you hear about one. They do have a anti-flipping rule. That's what I'm trying to think of. Flipping rule that people sometimes get nailed on. And, every now and then something will crop up. But for the most part, they're pretty consistent in their payouts. They don't, deny for no reason. And, that's one of the main things you're looking for, especially in a firm that up to recently, as far as I know, really kind of still, we'll talk about that in a minute, is mostly sim funded. So, as I remember the last time I've talked about a drama-free prop firm, all of a sudden everything started blowing up. But that's the other thing, the lack of drama. You know, there is no drama. They don't fight with other prop firms. They don't. The CEOs aren't constantly making comments that are come across as childish. There's just a lack of drama that surrounds them. No one's taking them to court. They're not taking anyone to court. It's just calm, and I think that provides traders, customers, with a bit of a sense of security when there's not constant drama surrounding the firm, and you can, trust that they're just keeping their eye on the game and not worried about everything else that's going on. Now let's talk about the drawbacks. The drawbacks. Number one is the secrecy. This is, one of the weird things about Bulenox. And some people, because of how secret they are, that's what I was trying to get out, but whatever, don't trust them. Nobody knows who owns Bulenox. We've never heard from the CEO, not that we know of. We don't know who's in charge of. We don't know nothing. The joke is, either they're the mob, and this is their way of pushing money around, or they're Martians. They're aliens from outer space. But nobody knows what who or what owns Bulenox, and I don't understand. Wait, what was that sound? I don't understand why they want to remain so. No, no, I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet. No, no, I only have one leg left. Don't break it. No, no. Okay, let's proceed, shall we? The price of funded setup fees above 50K. This is a huge one, and I don't understand it. I just don't. Let's look at a 150K eval. Here's my sheets that compares the cost of accounts. By the way, if you ever want to see these sheets, they're on the Discord. I have them up for 4 sizes: 25, 50, 100, and 150K. Working on getting a direct to funded sheet up as well, and a static sheet. We'll get to those shortly. I think actually one's built. I just need to put in the numbers. Anyway, you can see here right now, as when this video is made, Bulenox has a 91% sell on their intraday, 75% on their end of day. So you see, if you look at the eval cost, they're number one on the 150K, $29.25. Great deal, right? I mean, it's cheaper by over $20 over the next cheapest, and the end of day is the cheapest also in of any end of day account. Great deal, right? Wrong. Look at this. Look at all the way down the bottom. I have it circled. The all-in cost of a 150K account on Bulenox is the most expensive. So you may pay $30 for that 150K account, but then you're going to need to pay $498 for a funded setup fee. The second most expensive funded setup fee for a 150K account is Legends at $299. They're almost $200 more than anybody else, and Legends is the only one in the 200s. You could literally get right now, and then Tradeify is on sale right now, but you could literally get 3 Tradeify accounts, 3 funded futures network accounts for the same price as a Bulenox. So I just don't understand. Oh yeah, and if you get the 250K, $898 funded setup fee. I can't imagine that they sell any of those, and if they do, I don't know who the fool is that's buying them. And if you bought a 250K and paid the funded setup fee, I apologize for calling you a fool. But I mean, 900 with the price of the evaluation, $1,000. Why? The 50K and the 25K accounts are the only ones that have decent setup fees, and there's no reason to charge those setup fees because Rhythmic or Project X, whatever, Rhythmic charges the same amount for data no matter what size account. I don't care if it's a 5K account or a $5 million account, Rhythmic charges the same amount. So it's like they want to offer 250K, but they don't really want anyone to buy it. I don't understand. So I can't promote those big accounts. I always tell everyone, don't buy anything higher than 50K. If they would just lower those fees down to something normal, they could be selling a lot more of those 150Ks. I see it with other firms that have 150Ks. People like that size. Or 250Ks. There are some people that like the bigger accounts. But you just can't do it with Bulenox. And the other one is the new path to live is a bit confusing. This isn't really a drawback. I didn't know where else to put it. Before they announced their path to live, I had in this same spot that there was no path to live. Now they have announced the path to live, I still haven't heard about anybody being put on live. So nobody knows. I mean, someone, I contacted support asking some questions. I saw the screenshot that said that they would still be allowed to, even after being put live, you're allowed to put X amount from your SIM funded account into the live account, and then you're still allowed to trade your SIM funded account. And that sounds confusing. So, I mean, until I see more, till someone I know goes live on Bulenox, so I understand how this all works. It's only in the drawback category because right now there's a lack of clarity. Hopefully that gets cleared up when and if we ever see someone go live. I don't know of anyone yet that's live. Did they just put this out to make people think there's a path to live because that's gotten more important in the industry? Or is it going to be, like only a very small select group of very successful traders get put live? I don't know. But until we see until we get that clarity on how this works, we'll have to just consider that a slight drawback for the lack of clarity. And again, well, I'll talk about that in a minute. So what suggestions do I have? How could they move up into that coveted top 3 position? Because at one point I probably did have Bulenox in the top 3 unofficially. So what could they do? Number one is they got to come out from the shadows. And they don't have to. I shouldn't say they got to, but they should come out from the shadows. I actually asked for an interview with these guys back in December, and they told me to set up a proposal. I sent it in, waited like 3 weeks, didn't hear back. And I finally said, I finally followed up, and they said, "I'm sorry, we can't do it at this time." Why? What are they hiding? Why do they feel the need to hide? Come out, let traders know who you are and why they should trust you. I mean, obviously they're very successful. They don't need to do that, but it would be great for the industry as a whole, and I think it would give them a boost if they did. So I know Bulenox watches things because another affiliate, they got questioned about a video he put out one time. So if you're watching this, Bulenox, my offer for an interview is still there. You can see my other interviews that I've done on the channel. I do it very respectfully. I am not out for controversy. So, you know my email. Be happy to do that interview. And reduce the setup fees. I've ranted about that enough, I think. Reduce those setup fees so people can actually buy the 100, 150K and 250K accounts. I mean, even the 100K is $248, which is, it's not horrible, not astronomical, but it's still kind of horrible when you compare that to the rest of the industry in that size. Get rid of, just bring them down. Try it out. Do a sale on setup fees and see how it goes. See if that works with your bottom line to get sales running of those bigger accounts. Because 91% off doesn't mean anything when you gotta pay 3 times as much as anybody else. So that's basically it. That's what I got on Bulenox, my number 5th ranked firm. Let me know what you think of Bulenox. Give me your opinion. Do they deserve to be ranked higher? Do they deserve to be ranked lower? What's your experience? Tell me in the comments below. And I do want to thank you for joining. I'm going to work on getting, I actually skipped Legends. I need to work on getting Legends done and the Futures Test done. That's number 6, number 4. Get those done hopefully in a very short amount of time, and we'll get into the number 3. Again, thank you very much for watching. Hope you liked it. Please hit the like button. And that's all we got for now. Reminder though, every day on Twitter and Instagram, we post up all the good deals. We live stream Monday through Friday, 8 to 11, actually 8 to 12 now. And Discord is a great place to talk about everything. We'll see you next time.